thing will get cracking, and if anybody joins afterwards, then we'll be able to track that and let everybody in. Welcome everybody, welcome. I want to start off by telling a little story, okay? So this is a classic Brazilian story, and they say that it's present in other cultures as well. And it was published in the book by Paulo Coelho, which is the author of The Alchemist. Have you read that book? Good book, I recommend it. Okay, so there was once a businessman who was sitting by the beach in a small Brazilian village. As he sat, he saw a Brazilian fisherman rowing a small boat towards the shore, having caught quite a few big fish. The businessman was really impressed, and he asked the fisherman, "How long does it take you to catch so many fish?" And the fisherman replied, "Oh, hardly any time." And so the businessman said, "Then why don't you stay longer at sea and catch even more?" And the fisherman said, "Well, this is enough to feed my whole family." And the businessman then asked, "So what do you do for the rest of the day?" And the fisherman replied, "Well, actually, I wake up really early, I go out to sea, I catch a few fish, then I go back and play with my kids. In the afternoon, I take a nap with my wife, and evening comes and I join my buddies in the village for a drink. We play guitar, sing, and dance through the night." And the businessman offered a suggestion to the fisherman. He said, "I'm a PhD in business management, if that's anything. I can help you become a more successful person. From now on, you should spend more time at sea and try to catch as many fish as possible. When you've saved enough money, you could buy a bigger boat and catch even more fish. Soon, you'll be able to afford to buy more boats, set up your own company, your own production plant for canned food and distribution network. By then, you will have moved out of this village and on to Sao Paulo, where you can set up a HQ to manage your other branches." And the fisherman says, "And then?" And the businessman laughs. He says, "Well, after that, you can live like a king in your own house, and when the time is right, you can go public and float your shares in the stock exchange, and you will be rich." And the fisherman says, "And then?" And the businessman says, "Well, after that, you can finally retire. You can move to a house by the fishing village, wake up early in the morning, catch a few fish, then return home to play with your kids. Have a nice afternoon nap with your wife, and when evening comes, you can join your buddies for a drink, play the guitar, sing, and dance through the night." And the fisherman just looked at him and said, "But that's what I'm already doing." So the motto of this story, and the reason why I chose this, is basically to introduce the concept about starting with the end in mind, and really having this alignment to purpose. And that financial performance is really a byproduct of the impact we make and the value that we bring. So, I'm just going to go through what we're going to go through today. Just hello everybody that was able to come here, and hello to people online and anybody that's watching the recording. We're going to be recording until the end of the interview, and then I think we're going to go for a few drinks somewhere. So I'm Jason. I'm one of the organisers of Mindset for Founders Startup Group, along with Matt over here. And the agenda today is that Matt is going to tell you a little bit about what this group is about. I'm going to tell you why we picked this topic, and then we're going to jump straight into this interview with this fantastic individual here, Talai. To start off, Matt, do you want to tell us a bit about this?
Sure. So I guess Startup Founder Mindset, the group itself, was something I really was passionate about in terms of just supporting founders on their journey. I think founders, out of all the business people that we know, are the ones, especially the first-time founders, are the ones that really need support. And when I say support, I think the founder journey itself can be really lonely, especially if you're only working by yourself for months at a time, trying to think about your project, what it is that you're building the vision. And there's obviously ups and downs along the way. So this group is designed to bring people together so that they can share their experiences, so they can network, so they can support each other, share their pains, share their ideas. And I guess this is one event where we can do that with Talai as well. Hopefully get an idea of where he's come from, his mindset, and what he's been through, but also what he's achieved as well. And so the group is also about helping founders tell their story, but also bringing people together to hear different people's adventures and experiences and wisdom too. So
yeah, oh, brilliant. Yeah, and so the reason why we picked this topic is really because I was at the West Tech Festival back in December, and if you've not been, you really should go this year. It's a fantastic event. And I saw this guy kind of floating around during the event, on Tuesday and Wednesday and stuff, I think you were carrying a laptop. And then it wasn't until Friday that, over some drinks, as normally happens, I got to really meet Talai. And from then on, basically, we've caught up for a coffee over a few times, and I just found his story to just be fascinating, and what he's had to go through, and above all, the business he's set up is like just fantastic. And I'm not going to steal any of his thunder, but the reason why, what came to me is that passion, purpose, and perseverance are just like this triple combo that if you have those, then it's incredible. For me, passion is about energy. I remember a time in my life where what I was doing wasn't really feeding me with energy, so I felt like exhausted all the time. And I think, when you're in business, a lot of people can perhaps relate to this feeling of overwhelm sometimes. And I look at it as from the point of view of when you really feel engaged with what you're doing and inspired and alive, it feeds you energy. And then the other one is about purpose, really. It's being connected to, you might call it your calling or a noble impact. And I found that I had a sort of a life epiphany when I was, a few years ago actually, I went to some event and I was thinking about starting a business, or I was thinking about changing jobs. And I just remember that it was a grueling 3-day event, and at the very end of it, I got this message, which I just realized how important it was to help people, and that was something really important that related to my purpose. And I think purpose is something that is a bigger driver than inspiration or willpower. So, and then perseverance. I mean, things don't happen unless people do stuff, and so it's the doing of it that really matters. And so resilience is another big point. And I think in business, as in sort of things like sports, like bodybuilding or marathon running, there's this sense of giving so much of yourself, and every day when you go home, you hardly achieve anything, but it's a sort of having this growth mindset, being okay with delayed gratification and just hanging in there. That's quite helpful. So we thought we would start to introduce this gentleman, Talai. Talai, tell us about yourself. I don't want to steal any thunder from you. Could you tell us a bit about your background story? Why do you do what you do? How did you get into this game?
Well, hi everyone, here and of course online. My name is Talai Tangifua, and I am the founder of a fintech mobile app called Manini Pay. And I grew up in Tonga. There were 8 of us, so I came from a very big family. And so that it's normal in the Pacific Island to have very large family. And I guess for the purpose of this gathering is for mindset. So I guess that's where the mindset starts. The way I've been raised, the environment I was in, the kind of wisdoms that my parents passed down to us, and not just the wisdoms and even clothing. We were the big brother's clothing, and we grew up in there. And if someone traveled home, when they come back, they left all the clothing for us to wear. So in sense of fashion, we didn't have much choice, but because we already had given something to wear, so we just roll with it, I guess. So, and I always fascinate with numbers. And I found lately, and I mean only a few years ago, because when I grew up, I have learning difficulties. I couldn't read. The letters and the numbers and stuff just start floating, and they turn upside down, and I didn't know what it was. Nor to anyone in Tonga, I suppose, in my circle of friends and families back then. And even I got punishment from my mum from not doing homework and stuff. And even though they didn't know either. So I struggled. So I use sound and hang out with people who are actually better than the things that I want for myself. Yeah. I hang out with them, and I ask them to pronounce or to sound that out and stuff like that. Until much later, then one of my daughters, she's actually went through the same thing, frustrated because we cannot register the word, even though we just read it. And then I pushed a book across to her and said, "You can read." And then all of a sudden she just read, like she has been reading forever. And I look at the book, and the book is upside down. The book is actually facing me. Wow. So she read the books upside down. And I was like, and that was my aha moment that I remembered. I went through the same thing. And it turns out that she is a dyslexic, just like me, which I didn't know. But for my background, so my mindset was all about what I've been taught, my self-belief, my attitude toward things. So I guess in a very young age, I have an appetite to not back down in anything, because I mean I couldn't read. I found a way to how to pronounce words on my own, and eventually I'd be able to read book, but not for very long, because otherwise my mind would start going crazy. But yeah, and I was fascinated with numbers, business, and stuff. So for founders, I believe not all of us will become a business owners. We all have different talents, we all have different gifts and strengths and weaknesses, but we need to find those, and all weaknesses are gold. Weaknesses is where the solutions.
What do you mean by that?
Every obstacle that I face personally, there's an equal or better opportunity coming straight after that. It's either cause me to learn more and go seek more knowledge or help, or perhaps dig in and find out how to overcome that. It may take 2 weeks longer, or 1 month longer, or 6 weeks, or whatever that may be. But that obstacle is gold for entrepreneurs and founders. So every obstacle is a blessing, in my terms.
I wonder, like, maybe people want to understand the thinking behind Manini Pay, or like the meaning behind the name of your app.
Right. Thank you. Yes. Manini Pay. As I grew up in the islands, in the island of Tonga, tropical, we go out fishing a lot, and basically Manini is just a little tiny fish, lives in the coral in the South Pacific. It's a native fish in Hawaii. I think they're sometimes called convict fish. It's just because of the white and black stripes. Yes. And I also work in a hotel back in Tonga, School International, down on a hotel back then, and the bar was called Manini. And so many big deals and I mean big deals, close on the bar.
Right.
So then literally, before it even come out in public. And the hotel's been bought out by someone else, and Manini Pay no longer exists. So then I thought to myself, might as well just keep the name. And I did some research, and it's still available. And said, oh, bang! So that's how Manini is just, And then I also think like Apple. I mean, what Apple got to do with computer? Sort of kind of scenarios, and what fish got to do with moving money. So I said, that might be along that line. So that's why I just chose Manini, but literally just a fish, little tiny fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And what gave you this idea for Manini Pay? Like maybe if you tell us what the idea was, and then tell us what is it, what is it about?
Yes. As you all know, sending money back home in our culture, it's one of the forte, or I guess it's one of the fundamentals of Asia Pacific culture. We grew up in the island. We see it all. Hurricanes, you talk about, Category 5, the smash from the other end, earthquake, tsunami, and also the way of living. We have people, but in that resilience that we kind of like appetite for propel us, and many, I can only speak with the Tongans that I know. But it's right across the board in Asia Pacific, with Fiji, Philippines, Vietnam, and stuff. They do go overseas eventually, whether for further their education, for work, or find better living. But they also send money home. So, and one day, my younger sister, who lives in the United States, sent some money to my mom. And I was in Tonga at the time, and we lined up with my mum at one of the money transfer agency to collect the money. So that you all know, back in the island, it doesn't matter, we have to line up, regardless of whether it's hail, rain, hurricane, we have to line up in the sun, and then knowing Tonga is 95% humidity. So we have to line up with my mum, and my mum is not a small person. And after an hour and 17 minutes, I was absolutely soaked, and my mum felt uncomfortable. And then when we got to the front of the counter, and she filled all the forms and provide IDs and stuff. At the time, there was only one ID that needed. Now I think they're 2 or 3 now or something. She forgot one number, because when you send money, it doesn't matter what agency you're sending money with, they give you some serial numbers to give to those people, and that number they have to read out or write on the paper for them to collect the money. One of those numbers, my mom forget. She forgot that number, or I don't know where she written up. So we got sent home. So our whole day done. And as we walked to the bus, I said to myself, then I will find a way to make sure my mom will never ever get to stand in the line waiting to collect the money, or anyone for that matter.
Yeah, right.
So that's how Manini started. And then I start approaching money transfer agencies. And there was one operator in town at the time. I approached them about 7 times. Even I went to Western Unions, but the regulations was to be too much for me at the time, and involve capitals and all that, secure premises and stuff. I found out later that's part of the AFS license criteria they need to meet. So and forced me to look other ways rather than doing money transfer, just because of what my mom went through. So I created an e-commerce website because people send money home, majority of them to buy food. So instead of sending money home using these operators, money agencies, I created an e-commerce, put all the product there. People pays online using credit cards and debit cards, and their family pick the goods up in Tonga instead. However, on the back end, I move money around. And then right now I am the biggest online
Wow.
e-commerce in Tonga, still doing that, and we've been doing it for 5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so and because of that dream and that promise I made for myself about my mom, never forget stand in that line again, that's how Manini Pay was born.
Wow. So yeah, yeah, I love hearing that story. I've heard it before. It's like just incredible, man. And so yeah, how would you describe Manini Pay then? Like, what is it about? Really?
Manini Pay, it's a mobile fintech, cashless, cardless, borderless, that would be able to move money from one wallet to another in real time. So to be able, and we're also addressing the financial inclusion, so that you all know 31% of the population around the world, in the Asia Pacific, don't have a bank account. That's equivalent to 1.7 billion people do not have access to have a bank account or financial services. And also here in WA, we have just over 700 populations of First Nation individuals. 50% of them don't have a bank account either, but they do send money. And out of that 1.7 billion people who don't have a bank account, 56% of them are women. So what Manini is solving, it's solving the financial inclusion, so that they be able, wherever they are in the world, to be able to receive money in their mobile phone. And from the prediction, if I may remember correctly, it is now 6.45 billion people around the world own a mobile phone. So Manini, what we are trying to do is to bring the bank into the mobile phone, so to be able to service the financial inclusion. And then you can send money to your families wherever they are in the world, even locally here, and they get the money digitally in their e-wallet or in their phone instantly. So no more waiting.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So kind of like empowering people by giving them access.
100%. As you all know, Asia Pacific, we have similarities in cultures, and women are not supposed to be working. The moms look after the kids and do the washing, make sure the house and then food on the table. And some of them, they are very, very skillful and highly qualified in terms of education. But because they're being a mom, added to the cultural sense, they can't do anything else but just looking after the kids.
Yeah.
With Manini, they would be able to craft something at home, put it up on the Facebook or any other social media with our QR code, and someone in America, Japan, wherever they are, buy that stuff in real time. And the digital money would automatically be credited to their mobile phone. Now they have the money right there on their fingertips. So we be encouraging entrepreneurs. We also, hopefully we can raise poverty level in those countries. Because there are some countries that they live on $1.38 a day.
Yeah. Wow.
So this is how the social movement we are trying to pursue, and hopefully we can get some very powerful team and investors to come on board to be able to address this aggressively.
I mean, it's wow,
Yeah.
that's a big problem you're going to be solving there. And it's quite interesting, you know, like at this point in time, you know, like even when you were explaining this to me before the whole AI explosion and all that, and you know, and I was, you know, and how that's going to impact, you know, society across the globe, really. You know, I was watching the World Economic Forum. They had the past 2 days they've been talking about the future of jobs, and yeah, how significantly things are going to change. And again, you know, the difference between, you know, developed countries and developing countries, and how in developed countries, a lot of people are working at jobs for corporations, and, you know, in developing countries, people are more entrepreneurially minded. And just, yeah, I mean, I think they were just talking about how things are going to change so dramatically, and they're not sure exactly how.
Also, one thing they must understand, and you know, for our listeners,
Yeah.
you know, because I live in both worlds, so I know exactly, you know, what are they going through in their lives.
Yeah.
So and again, it's come down to the mindset.
Yeah.
Because you know, education it's still the key factor for Manini. We touched base earlier on in terms of financial literacy. We also have a part for Manini to be able to educate these guys, you know, not in a full-on courses and stuff, but for example, because we are a financial mobile app, we have a monthly, it's like a monthly statement, but instead of a full-on statement just like the bank now, we filtered their expenses. We can only give them the expenses and their income. So how much do they spend on in each month? Coffee, and then we tailor it, so your coffee $240, and then bread $600. So to educate them, oh, I spend that much money on coffee? I maybe start to see psychologically we will help them. This is how we try to help them, you know, educate them in a way. And of course, there will be some, if we have enough money, then you know, we have some programs running just to, you know, entice the, because they still need to be shown, you know, how to use the app, as well as how to manage their own money in that sense. But to ever be able to access money right away, just it doesn't matter where they are, and having the Starlink, you know, with the Elon Musk Wi-Fi, we have been following them very, very closely from the inception. So hopefully one day we'll be able to have enough for us to invest, so everyone else can just use the app wherever they are, regardless.
That's amazing. Gosh.
Yeah.
And bringing it back to sort of like mindset, you know, in terms of the passion, the perseverance, and the purpose. Yeah. How do you think those are important? You know.
I think passion is one of the. You have to have passion. Without passion, you can't go far, because passion is the driver. That's what drives you, whatever that is, whether you be a businessman or work for community, a volunteer. It doesn't matter what field your passion, but you know that is. It's almost like this is my call, or this is my purpose. We can't really say purpose is our young age, because we still navigating, we're still in discovery stages of our lives. You know, I'm talking about when we are 15, you know, to 26, or you know, because majority of us, our dreams is like a 5-minute dreams. 1 week we want to do this, we become this, and then the next week we want to become someone else. So the purpose, it's an ongoing filtration, trial and error, sort of type of journey, to be able to filter out in such stage that we almost believe, I've tried everything, it didn't work. Now this is almost perfect and aligned with what my being telling me to do, and this is it. then you know maybe I come close, because normally it's just like ideas. You know, what you start with may not necessarily be that's what you ended up doing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because you want to do something else. It's overlay. It's just the mindset of entrepreneurs. It's rolling wheels. It keeps spinning. But passion, yeah, they often say faith get you started and self-belief get you there. Passion drives the two. Without the passion, without the energy there, and it doesn't matter if you're doing the right thing or the bad thing, because the passion doesn't even know that it's actually right or wrong. It just has this energy to push you. I mean, someone really smart who doing crime stuff, they also drive by passion. So it doesn't really be the good thing. You have to be, it drives. It's almost like a subconscious mind, kind of energy feeder sort of type. In my own definition, I could be wrong.
That's a good point there, yeah.
But that's how I experience. And what drives me is the dream. You have to have the dream bigger. It almost is scared the heck out of you every day. I mean, look at Manini. I'm going against or face Western Union, MoneyGram, World Remit.
Wow.
All these big guys, well established, well funded, all over the world. I'm this little Manini. Little fish trying to solve a bigger problem. Which, and the best part, I don't even know they're going to be successful or not. That's where the passion is there. And we all live in hope, with a hope.
How do you live in that uncertainty?
It's a collaboration of a few things that you picked up along the way, from the environment that you were in, mates that you hung out with, and I believe with what you feel that your body, that your being, I'm here to do this. You know, you may not necessarily be trying to solve the problem around the world, but some people, they've just been there being a father, and they being a father fantastically. That's also a success too. You don't have to be a big corporation, companies, startup. You know, successes come in all different various forms and all type of stuff. But hope, we all live in hope, because if things don't work well today, even though I do everything that I could possibly do today, with a hope, I get up tomorrow and continue doing. Whether you're gonna turn up to be like that the next day, that's tomorrow. And it's also important that we must differentiate. We plan for the future, but we leave 24 hours. It's very, very critical, because half of the stress, we bring in the dramas tomorrow to put in today, which means we not even get there. I mean, you get up in the morning, you know, go to the shower, freshen up, because you need your body to get fresh. You need to look after yourself. And then you see your to-do list and whatever you got to do. And then after, when you go home, you should ask yourself, have I done what I meant to do today? Whether you're religious or not, or you know, believe in God, or your mother-in-law, or your dog, your donkey. But in the Lord's Prayer, one of the lines the Lord plays is, give us our daily bread. The good Lord didn't say yesterday bread or tomorrow bread. Talking about today. You do everything today that's your bread. Hopefully you bring bread to the table.
Yeah.
Just today. Our whole entire focus is just today. Sometimes the time's limited. We can't do everything. But then again, we have to prioritize what is actually.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we also have families and stuff like that. So I guess that's how we live in hope.
Yeah.
So it's a collaborating for me. It's not just you have to have a different understanding on different things or pathways to be able for you to live in hope.
Yeah.
I still live in hope that they be able, I can pull this off.
Yeah.
Even though I work my butt off, day in, day night, with the kind of mindset of, if I do one thing, I get scared. It's not enough to feed me. I have to do 4 or 5 different things, and let's calm me down. And good thing is that I still manage to do all those and remember everything that I do with the other 4.
Wow.
So,
and
yeah.
what stage, like where are you at now with Manini Pay?
Manini Pay, we've done the R&D. We have registered Manini Pay as a corporation. We also have a dual account, which means we have a holding companies and operating companies. So the holding companies hold all the assets, the IPs and shares and stuff. So investors will come in, put in the money, and we issue shares from the holding company, while the operating company will do what it does. So, manage workers and blah, 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 blah. So, and then we've done the UI UX, which is, the screens that everyone will see is in the phone. And we have registered IPs, trademark Manini, and we with IP Australia. So we got that done, I think last year, I think or the year before. Now we seeking investors or funding as we speak to develop the actual app. So we are ready to roll, and the team to be able to take this thing to.
And did you say you're about the WA Innovator of the Year?
We submitted an application to the WA Innovator of the Year the other night. So we're in the race. So we don't know yet, but it's exciting. So see what happens.
Yeah. Wow. It's really it's incredible. And you were talking about how things happen in your life that might be problems, but you can turn them into opportunities. And I think you're like a living example of that.
It's you have to live and breathe in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and because there are also people who looking up for you. You then become a role model to, especially my kids.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing this for them. I don't want to sound cliche, but I gave them the absolute freedom to choose what they want to do, and I've taught them from very young age how to make decisions, good or bad. Because one day they will be able to make decisions themselves, and some of them will be the tough one. So that's why I've been offloading some of the stuff that I learned along the way to be able for them to just do that, and I encourage them to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So,
And if anybody's watching this and kind of going I feel aligned to what you've done, in a different way, they might have a different idea. Maybe they might get started. Maybe they've already started. What are some tips do you think you could offer, basically?
Especially as a role model.
Yeah.
I mean, go for it.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing is success, and also other things are having the courage to pursue that, whether it's big or small, whether to serve a certain group of people, whether it's just solve a simple thing, but just have a go. And every idea is fantastic and the reason why I say this, because I lived it.
Yeah.
It may seem silly, that idea, but that idea will give you another idea and another idea. Once you reach a certain stage, that thing that you started, I can almost guarantee that's the thing that you won't end up doing after all.
Yeah.
It's always another idea. And this is how you grow. This is how you gain all knowledge. And the more network you do, the more your basket full of knowledge will also grow and also help you. And this will also help your courage to grow. Yes, you will face many, many challenges. Trust me. But embrace them. because without challenge, none of us will get where we are, regardless. It's life is, in my personal journey, just think of a battery, car batteries. The car battery have a negative and positive. Without the two, the car won't start and go. Exactly the same as the new idea. You have to take the bad and the ugly and everything's in between. But it's gonna be a lonely journey. If you're comfortable with just being yourself, right or wrong, do it. Because you're gonna grow to something bigger in the future. It's not where you started, it's where you are ending up. That's where.
What I love about it is like you're sort of the way you're describing your advice and your journey. You know, it's like it's there's no set structure per se. Do you know what I mean? Like achieve this outcome, achieve this outcome. It's like it's a development of yourself and who you become.
It's unfortunately it's all about yourself. You have to be mentally strong or prepared, regardless. And how do you become mentally prepared? By make so many mistakes and go through problems, because by then you then realize how resilient you are. Because resilience is basically you overcome many setbacks. You come out. Yes, sometimes we feel sad, we have emotions and stuff, but sometimes you give it time to rest, to heal, and then go again. You know, you can only fail when you're not start up again. Most of us, we got knocked down, but we always get back up. So it's very important to understand that. I think life is hard. That's no two ways. Because if it's easy, everyone will be in the Bahamas right now. Life is freaking hard, but it's also beautiful. If you have all of these stuff, because you come to this life. Our parents, in my personal view, it's just our earthly parents. They brought us here to this life, raised us to go out and find ourselves. So I guess you can do that for yourself because you have a specific purpose. But starting small, you'll get there. And just have the courage, because genius, they're not born. They're not born. They have to work. And even billionaires to this day, you can't be a hero by yourself. They have a team. The team make them billions. They can't be a billionaire by himself. So,
wow. Gosh, that's amazing. I wonder if there's any questions.
You can check online. I think maybe there's some comments.
Okay, wow. Okay, so Satya says, thanks a lot, Talai, for sharing your story. It really helped me to understand how passion and purpose can unleash your entrepreneurial journey. And thanks a lot, Matt and Jason, for organising this event. And Min says, inspiring story, Talai. Yeah.
Thank you.
David. That's incredible. Any questions, you guys? Maybe afterwards when we go for a drink.
And another thing I might add is, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid, because your idea, someone else need that. They say, if you do not move, the world won't move. Because if you could just say, have a great idea and you stay at home and cannot act on it and then develop it further, your great idea will just stay there. Did you know, someone told me, when I was, my first time being a web designer, I self-taught myself to become a web designer. And I went to all these talks and free seminars about web design. And one guy said to me that the richest place in the world is cemeteries. There are books buried that's never been written. There are businesses there that's never been formed. So imagine all your dreams, great ideas. Don't hold back. And my only advice, get a pen and an empty pad. Start writing. There is a magic that I found personally between my brain and that book. Something happened in between, transformed me to what I am today. Just note it down. It may change your ideas tomorrow. Note it down. You come back to it a year later. I'm doing that now, which I've written 4 years ago. It's amazing. It's amazing. I don't know. I cannot explain it. But when you start writing things down, your ideas just is almost like channeling into the existence. It's on the book. It's real. You see the ink? It's like real. Something happened there. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. Oh man, that's amazing. Listen, Talai, thank you so much for coming in. Man, always sharing space with you is just so inspirational. You know, I mean, you're just like this life energy force, and you know what you're out to do with Manini Pay. You know, I mean, gosh, man. I mean, these are the sorts of things that change the world like in such a profound way, you know, and it's just the sort of stuff we really need more of. So, you know, wish you all the best, man, you know, and thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate being here.
Yeah.
And I guess that goes to anyone else who wants to tell their story. We won't always be doing Thursdays 5 p.m, but you know, we will try to stagger the times, try different